Hello everybody, this is Thannus here, and today we are back in The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. In the last episode, we moved the walrus here after it would basically sleep, and the only way to wake it up was to basically find Marin and have her wake it up for us. Now as you can see, there's a seashell up there. We're going to go ahead and loop around there in a second, but we want to go ahead and just progress ourselves through this desert. And the desert is basically a smaller area, actually. It's not too difficult to navigate, nor is it a difficult area overall. So we're going to go ahead and head over this way, get rid of these guys, for they are a nuisance in some form or fashion. And if we go ahead and head this way, real quick while we're here, we can go ahead and actually go ahead and wake up this owl statue here. See, we're not going to go ahead and worry about what he has to say, it doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and actually dig a spot right here. It gives us a secret seashell. Alright. So now we're going to go ahead and actually go down this way now. If we go ahead and loop around here, we'll actually gain access to that higher platform we saw earlier. And up here we will find our next secret seashell. So go ahead and lift both of these and you will find it under this rock. Alright. So, now we're going to go ahead and go up here. And if we go ahead and loop back around, I'm not 100% sure what this passageway is for, but I'm going to go ahead and go and investigate it anyway. I'm going to lift these, see what these have to offer for us. I don't believe they're anything of worth. I know, it's all just hearts. I don't believe defeating all of these guys will benefit us in any way, but I'm going to do so just in case. If we go ahead and wait, we can go ahead and hit both at the same time. Nope. Alright, let's go ahead and go up here, put a bomb right here. And we're going to go ahead and wait for that to explode. If we go ahead and go into the top room, we can actually find a piece of heart now. There we are. Which means we also now have another full heart. Very nice. Which means we now have 10 hearts, which means we're halfway to the maximum. So now we're going to go back up here. We're going to go ahead and find a mini-boss in this desert, so to speak. And this mini-boss will basically grant us the key to the next dungeon. Annoyance! You are only getting in the way! Now, as you can see, this is a boss called Landmola. This is the boss that appeared in both the classic original Link's Awakening, the Legend of Zelda for the NES, and also A Link to the Past. However, in those games he was not a mini-boss. This is the only game in which he is an actual, like, major threat, so to speak. But even then, he's not actually a major threat. He's just a mini-boss and therefore presented as something that you have or should have trouble fighting. Now, try your best not to fall into the pit. I believe it will take us to that room where we found the piece of heart, but nonetheless, it's a good idea not to fall down there because it'll probably reset your progress with Landmola, and I don't believe you want to do that. So go ahead and keep hitting Landmola's head. Eventually, he will die. I don't know how many hits it's going to take. Not ticks. There are no ticks in this game. No blood-sucking bugs. Or anything of that sort. I almost fell into the pit there. Don't do that. Okay. I'm not really at much of an angle where I can really hit his head right now. There we go. That's one. Gonna keep trying. He's going to go that way again. And there he goes. Landmola is defeated. Which means now we can go ahead and pick up this key. Alright, that's the angler key, the key to the next dungeon. Now, I am going to fall down here again. I believe it's just the room we were in before. Yeah, it is. So we're going to go ahead and go back out here. And we're going to go up these stairs. Now, there's one other thing we can go ahead and get while we're in this animal village area. So we go ahead and head this way. Just avoid this again. We can actually loop around here and head onto this upper area. And in this area, we will be able to basically just jump back down as a shortcut through the Yarna Desert. Real quick, we're going to actually meet the owl, though. So there he is. Hoot, the shape of the key shows a fish, swimming up a cascade of water. Go now to the mountain waterfall. A leap from the top, and you will reach your goal. So, of course, we're gonna go to the mountain waterfall, as he's telling us to do so. So real quick, before we do that, we are going to go ahead and head this way. And I believe just south of Animal Village there should be a specific area that we can reach that will provide us with a secret seashell yet again. Avoid those guys, they're not of any benefit to anybody. I don't know why there was a bug there. But if you go ahead and head up to this area here, there's another owl statue we can find. We're going to go ahead and light him up. And that was a mistake I made. Which means I'm also now low on bombs. I'm going to have to buy some later. But we're going to go ahead and scoop this up, grab the secret seashell there. And we are done with this area. Now there's not much else we can do in this whole area just yet, because we of course cannot swim. However, there's one other thing I want to do before we head to the dungeon. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're actually going to go ahead and look for a teleportation pad. I believe we're closest to the Animal Village one still, so actually I'm going to go up here real quick. There might be... no. So we're going to go back down to the Animal Village actually. Don't go up there. We go ahead and head down here and go to the teleportation pad down this way. We will be able to teleport back to Mabe Village. And in Mabe Village is a very specific thing we will find. So go to Ukuku Prairie again. And in Ukuku, you will actually be able to make your way back to Mabe Village, and we're going to go ahead and actually go to the library. I don't believe we've gone to that building just yet, but now that we can do a very specific thing there, after the last dungeon, we're actually going to utilize the library and what it has inside. So if you go ahead and go into the library real quick, not like that, go ahead and go in. And as you can see, there's actually a book on top of that shelf there. There's also this book right here, which isn't really useful for anything. I don't believe. Yeah, we need a magnifying lens to open that book. But if we go ahead and run into this wall here with the Pegasus boots, we can go ahead and check this book. The Hidden Power of Color. Let's go ahead and read the book. There's a new world of color under the 5 gravestones. 3, 4, 5, 2, and 1. So move the third one. So the first one you move down. Second one you move left, third one you move up, fourth one you move right, and fifth one you move up. So we gotta have to keep that in mind. Alright, so if we ever need to know it again, we'll go ahead and go back there. But what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and find a teleportation pad again, and we're actually gonna teleport to that area with the graveyard. And there we will actually be able to introduce a very interesting aspect of this game that was introduced in the Game Boy Color remake, which is called the Color Dungeon. Basically, the Color Dungeon is something we can defeat, and it will grant us very specific power at the end of the dungeon. So go down here to Dompe's shack. It's the closest warp pad to the area. And once we're here, we can go ahead and head down to the Dark Forest. I believe it's called the Dark Forest. I'm not 100% sure on that. And go down and enter the graveyard. There should be a set of 5 gravestones somewhere that we can go ahead and push around. Yep, there it is. So I believe the first one, we push left. Second one, we push down. Third one, we push, come on. I believe the third one we pushed, I believe it was right. God dang it. If these guys would stop, they're a nuisance. I believe the third one was actually up. We pushed the fourth one right. And I believe we pushed the fifth one down. No. We pushed the fifth one up? Yes. And we failed. Apologies. Well, I'm going to go ahead and look at the book again, and I will see you guys once we are back. Alright, so if we go ahead and head back to these gravestones, we're actually going to go ahead and work with these gravestones again. I'm going to get rid of this ghost because he's a massive nuisance that we don't want in our way. So we're going to go ahead and push this gravestone down. This guy's going to annoy us yet again. Come on. Get out of here. This is annoying. These ghosts take more hits than they should. go ahead and just grab this fairy real quick. Now we're gonna go ahead and head back over here. We're gonna push this one left. And we're gonna go ahead and find this gravestone, push it up. Come on. Stay out of the way. We're gonna push, god dang it, this dumb ghost. We're gonna push this one to the right, and we're also gonna push this one up. And as you can see, we have unlocked a certain area. Let's go ahead and head on in. This is the color dungeon. It actually has the music from the original Zelda's dungeon games, or dungeons. So, basically, the color dungeon is a dungeon that we have, I believe it's the shortest dungeon, but it requires powder. And this was a dungeon that was first seen in the, Game Boy Color remake of the game. This was not in the original version of the game that was only on Game Boy. So basically, we can go ahead and go through this dungeon, and we will be able to kind of access different enemies. Now, this was probably a lot more of a puzzle in the Game Boy Color version of the game, because enemies would match certain colors and blend in and stuff like that. But those monsters are a lot easier to see with the whole aspect of 3D graphics nowadays, so it's not much of an issue nowadays. But anyway, we want to go ahead and continue through this dungeon. Some of these puzzles are frustrating to a degree, but it's normally easy to get through. So we're going to go ahead and open this chest up here. And we have a compass now. Alright. So, like I said, this dungeon is the shortest dungeon as far as I'm aware. Let's go ahead and bomb this wall here at the bottom. If we go ahead and head on in here, there's a bunch of rupees we can go ahead and get. This is actually going to significantly boost our wallet up. Not too much, but it'll be a big help, I guess. Now, we don't have any more bombs, keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and head this way. We're going to want the feather back out now. Now, these platforms will basically procedurally break, I guess, as they're hopped on more. This guy's basically just spelling his own doom here by hopping there. Now we have bombs that are dropped here. We got rid of him. Now there's a key door we have here, but we can't go through it. There's also a door at the bottom we can't really get through right now. So what we want to do with these guys, we want to go ahead and hit them with our sword and throw them into their respective color pits. Again, the novelty of this was more apparent when this was the Game Boy remake, but at the moment it's not much of a glaring puzzle at this moment. Alright, go ahead and open this chest. We have the beak now. And with the beak, we'll be able to talk to stone owl statues, but we don't really have much of a need to. So we're going to go ahead and handle all of these guys here. They hop a lot. There's nothing you get from defeating all of them, but I did so anyway. So I believe we need to turn all of these blue. Yeah. Alright. We have a key now here. We do not yet have our dungeon map. These are the same as they were in the other room. Don't worry too much about them. The color coordination doesn't do much since this is not the Game Boy Advance, therefore there's not really a big distinction between them and the floor. This is the mini-boss of the dungeon. It is a issue. So what you want to do, you actually want to hit him with powder, and he will turn back into a weakling, which he claims to have not been. I believe this is honestly harder than the main boss of the dungeon, if you ask me. The main boss of the dungeon is literally a pushover. Which I would explain, but I don't want to exactly spoil the boss until I actually get to it, but you'll know what I mean once I get there. Alright, with that mini-boss done, we will now have access to a ferry, as well as a portal back to the entrance of the dungeon, I believe. Okay, no on the portal. Alright, here we have a room that we can basically access by pushing these blocks out of the way. And we can go ahead and pick open this chest. And I believe we get the boss key. We have not actually found the room needing the boss key yet, but whatever. it makes sense that progression has gone this way. The dungeon is, like I said, the shortest one, so go ahead and head back out this way. Go ahead and go back down. There's a room back down we couldn't get through before, so we're gonna go ahead and go down here. Ignore these guys. There's not much of a reason to worry about them right now. So go down here, and there are these things again. Again, not much to worry about. There are pretty basic enemies at this point without the advent of color like the GBC did, but not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and handle them anyway. There's also this guy here. Let's go ahead and take him out. They look like ghosts from Luigi's Mansion, honestly, if you ask me, but whatever. Now these guys here, again, not much of a problem since they are not on these tiles here that they hop on. Let's go ahead and open this up and we get a new key. And I believe in one of the rooms just above we'll be able to open the door now. So go ahead and go across here, open this door up, and we will actually find, surprise surprise, a new mini-boss. What a greedy fool, do you want more power? A buffoon like you might as well give up and go home! As you can see, this boss is pretty much a pushover too. He's a mini-boss, mind you, but he's extremely easy to hit. The thing is, if he jumps, you should jump too, because if you get stunned, you won't be able to avoid those rocks that he knocks down. They're not too difficult to knock over in the first, or avoid in the first place, but unless you are, of course, knocked over by his jump. He starts jumping more often, but not a big deal. We have handled him. I don't know why there are too many bosses in this dungeon, but it's not as bad as a later dungeon where you have to fight the same boss multiple, or same mini-boss over and over again. Let's go ahead and handle these guys here. They are being a bit of a nuisance in this room with their bombs, but not a big deal. Let's go ahead and head left now. Now this is one of the more complicated rooms, I guess. Go ahead and hit all the middle ones. Change the middle ones again. I do remember this one giving me trouble, actually, so... Oh, yep, there we go. That opens up the door up above. We don't really have to worry about the owl. That would have gave me a hint that it needed to be blue, not red, but whatever. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of these slimes here. Not much we can do in here since we need the key, so I will actually have to go back out. Hopefully I don't need to do that puzzle again where I have to make all the tiles square, but not a big deal. Let's go ahead and get rid of all these pots. I'm going to try and save up on some bombs. I don't think we need them, but whatever. Alright, go back out here. Head up to this upper room now. Assuming this guy doesn't push you off as you try to jump across. Anyway, get rid of all these slimes in this room. I think the color of slimes was actually more apparent, or something that was added again in the Game Boy Color remake as well, but I'm not entirely sure. So go ahead and just go through this dungeon, get rid of all these pots, and get them out of the way. I don't know why I said dungeon instead of just room. This should be a key, but I'm not 100% sure. This might just be a normal chest. Let's go ahead and see what it is. Ah, it's the dungeon map. Neat. Alright, so as we can see, we have one room here. We need to go through this room to reach the nightmare, which means this is the only other room we have. We need the key from this room. So we need to basically go through this puzzle to get the key. This red guy almost fell in the hole before without me having to throw him in there, but what? Well, we solved it early with that last blue one. Anyway, with them all out of the way, we will actually get our key now. So we can go ahead and grab that and head back to the room needing the key. Let's go ahead and get these pots out of the way just so we can pass through quicker. Avoid this guy because he's a nuisance and I don't want to deal with him. Thankfully we don't have to do this puzzle again, so let's go ahead and head back up. Now we can go over here and unlock this door. This room here is not really difficult. We don't really need to do anything about this. Again, this puzzle was color-centric, but since this is no longer a color-devoid game like it was before the Game Boy Color, it's not really much of an issue for us. Alright, and here it is, the final boss of the color dungeon. This is safe. I'm safe. This is the hard hit beetle. Yes, that is a pun on hard hat. But you actually don't have to worry about hitting him too many times. Step back, take your time. If you actually only hit him twice more, like I just did, he just dies. He's literally the easiest boss in the game, bar none. Don't worry about him. He was probably a bit harder to figure out in the original version of the color dungeon, but since this is 2019 and there's color in all games, I guess, yeah. Now, assuming they made this game monochromatic instead and actually changed the whole direction of the color dungeon, there could have been a difference, but nah, it doesn't matter. So, welcome Link, I admire you for coming this far. I will give you the power of color. If you want offense, choose red. If you want defense, choose blue. Now, defense is not really something we're devoid of. Red mail will actually power up our sword, and that is something that is extremely important for me because there are a lot of enemies in this game that take a lot longer to kill than they should. So I'm going to go ahead and get the red mail. The red mail will basically, as we'll see in just a second, change the color of our tunic and make us more powerful with the sword. We got the red mail and our body is now full of energy. And now, the fairy is going to take us back outside. Alright, and with that, we are done for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and now, in the next episode, we will be basically finishing our journey to the next dungeon, and I will see you there. Bye-bye.